Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. I am thrilled to be able to host a conversation with Joi Gordon, the Dress for Success CEO. Few housekeeping items. We received a lot of great questions ahead of this webinar tonight, but if you do have a question for Joi, you can go ahead and put it in the Q&A at the bottom of your screen on Zoom. First, I'm Alpha Sigma Tau's National President, Jamie Jones Miller from the Psi chapter at James Madison University. We are thrilled to have a great partnership with Dress for Success worldwide. Alpha Sigma Tau first joined forces with Dress for Success in 2014. And Dress for Success has 150 affiliates in 25 countries, so they are truly worldwide. One of the reasons that we partnered with Dress for Success is the natural alignment between our missions, and I want to share that with you tonight. The mission of Alpha Sigma Tau is to invest in women by instilling the skills necessary to navigate life and inspire members to enrich their own lives and the lives of others. And our vision, Alpha Sigma Tau empowers women to excel in life. At Dress for Success empowers women to achieve economic independence by providing a network of support, professional attire, and the development tools to help women thrive in work and in life. And the vision, a world where women do not live in poverty, are treated with dignity and respect, and are strengthening their families and shaping their communities. So I'm sure you can see some of the natural ties and alignment between our two organizations. Like Dress for Success, Alpha Sigma Tau has also had to pivot our operations and programming for our collegiate and alumni chapters in response to COVID-19. Many of our members and their caregivers have been directly impacted by COVID-19. And we know our members are seeking opportunities to make an impact in their communities and on their campuses. Both of these factors present a unique opportunity for members of Alpha Sigma Tau to embrace Dress for Success and engage virtually or in person where possible in support of underserved and vulnerable women across the country. Joi, at our convention in 2018 in Pittsburgh, you said, "Together, I know that we are not only going to change the world, but save women's lives." You said, "I joined Dress for Success because I knew it was going to be bigger than me, just like you knew joining Alpha Sigma Tau would be bigger than you." Your words really resonated with me. I think that this is at the heart of why women join AST. We want to belong to a community of women who support one another. Our founders came together in this spirit in 1899, 121 years ago. And personally, I like to think of AST as my competitive edge, my secret weapon. Joi, we are thrilled to have you join us tonight. We're looking forward to hearing about your journey, about Dress for Success, and how we can continue to partner with you. We'll hear from you first. I'll turn it over to you, and then we'll launch into some Q&A if that's all right.
That's great. Jamie, thank you so much for inviting me. You don't know how much this means to me. First of all, I just want all the women of Alpha Sigma Tau to know that we really do feel like the chosen one. You are our only sorority partner for Dress for Success worldwide. And having been in 25 countries and 150 plus cities around the world, that really says a lot about your members and you and your leadership. So on behalf of every woman who walks through our door, thank you for choosing us. And I know we were chosen. Just to give you some background on Dress for Success, and I think what I'm most excited about is how many women have shown up tonight. And I'm certain that although I see 93 participants, there's probably women together in rooms, hopefully socially distanced, with masks on, and that you had to come together because you wanted to hear from your national president and you wanted to further understand what it means to dress for success in work and in life. This organization was created by a young woman like yourself. Some 25 years ago, our founder, who happened to be a second-year law student, got an inheritance from her great-grandfather. And the inheritance at that time was $5,000. I can imagine what $5,000 could mean for a student. Yet Nancy, our founder, decided she was going to take the $5,000 that she inherited and meet with two nuns in Harlem. She wanted to know what $5,000 could do for women. And we're just grateful that it was the nuns in Harlem who said to her, Nancy, we're working with women who are coming out of prison and they're expected to find jobs, yet they have nothing to wear. So what if there was an organization created specifically for women going on interviews, and you gave them the suits to wear on those interviews? And that birthed the concept of Dress for Success. I got to tell you again, as someone who not only graduated from college, but also graduated from law school, $5,000 could have been a windfall for anyone. And a regular student would have taken $5,000 and probably gone to Cancun. Yet our founder decided that it was worth investing in someone else. And by investing in another person, she in essence has invested in the lives of over 1.2 million women who work today because of a $5,000 investment. That number, although big, is not as big as the number that I really like to count, which that our women are moms, most of which are mothers. And in many cases, they're single mothers. So the reality is that probably there are now 3 to maybe 4 million children out there who have moms who work. Again, a $5,000 investment could change and really be a ripple effect of changing women's lives and children's lives around the world. So I leave that with you because I think in your life, you are going to come against and come up on opportunities that present themselves. And you can always go left and you can always go right. She chose to go for the right way. And she, by giving of herself, has made an enormous difference in the lives of others. So we started this organization in New York City in the basement of a church, really focused on giving women suits to wear on interviews. At the time, I was a lawyer. I saw Nancy on the news. I thought, what a great organization. I'm going to donate a suit. And literally, by the time I got off of one phone call, I had joined her board of directors. There was something really special about her. And I knew that she was on to something. I knew what it felt like as a newly minted lawyer, having just gotten out of law school, putting on a suit in the morning, looking at myself in the mirror and walking into a courtroom. I knew that suit helped me feel powerful. And so I knew that if I could give one of my suits to someone else, maybe in that gift, she would have her suit of armor. And so I really just wanted to donate a suit. But as life took me, I began to be a volunteer board member for Dress for Success. And within a year, I left the work that I was doing to work in a basement of a church in New York City. I had left the practice of law. I'd only been a lawyer for a relatively short amount of time. So you can only imagine how my parents felt when they thought I had abandoned everything I had gone to college for. But what they didn't know is that I went to college and I went to law school to make a difference. And making a difference was what Dress for Success was all about. It might have looked differently, it might have felt differently, but it was still the same goal I had for myself from day one. And so we had this organization giving suits to women who needed them. And we then started to evolve the organization. It became so much more than clothing. And today, it's so much more than a suit. It's really giving women the tools she needs to really thrive in work and in life. We do resume review, we do leadership training, we do health and wellness, financial literacy, ensuring that she has the tools to succeed once she lands her job. And in some cases, we make sure that we're also giving her some upskilling so that she isn't the working poor, so that she's not starting at the bottom and staying there, so that she sees the opportunity to soar. And so Dress for Success all around the world has been helping women really move to the next level. The next rung on the ladder is what we're trying to accomplish. And honestly, that's why this partnership with your sorority means so much to us, because to Jamie's point, we are perfectly aligned. This was a marriage in the making. And so now this is when we're going to start to get started on getting some work done together. And what I'm most excited about under Jamie's leadership is that we're going to start to do some really powerful things together so that people can truly see Dress for Success and AST and understand that these two organizations are coming together to shape and change the world. So you're right. We together are going to make a difference in women's lives. And sometimes getting her a job and changing her trajectory in life can, in essence, save her life. And so, Jamie, I appreciate that you remembered what I said when I came to the conference, that it mattered to you that Dress for Success is your partner. And now we're going to get some work done together. And I'm most excited about all of you who joined this call tonight, so that at the same time, in the same place, we can be on the same page and move this forward.
I love that, Joy. Thank you. I also want to thank our past National Council members who were at the very beginning, had the seat at the table, and particularly past National President Tiffany Street, who reached out, had this idea because she had a great volunteer experience with Dress for Success. And that moves me because I know that's what it takes, right? You find that thing that gives you passion, it gives you purpose. And I love that you shared your story about your professional leave. You had gotten your bachelor's degree in radio and TV broadcasting, right? You got a law degree, you were practicing law, and then all of a sudden something called to you. And one of our members submitted a question ahead of time, and they asked, what sparked your joy for philanthropy? So I'd love if you could share a little bit about that. What really the inspiration behind the risk that you took, big professional leap that you took.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people see someone who had gone to law school and making a pivot and doing nonprofit work as risk. It was all reward. You got to know that, first of all, I never really went to law school to practice law. I had the journalism degree, and I really thought that I would like couple and marry my journalism degree with my law degree, and I'd be this kind of legal analyst, kind of talking head on one of the major networks, that they'd call me. This is in my head, right? They'd call me when there was a big case, and they'd want to know my opinion on what was going to happen in the trial, who was going to get off, who was going to win, how much a person would be sentenced. And it was really when I was imagining, because I think that's what you do as a young person, you imagine what your future looks like. I was imagining this future for myself, and I had a mentor. So I suggest everyone get a mentor, right? Because when you're young and you're thinking about your future, sometimes you need clarity. So I'm saying to my mentor, as he's asking me about what am I going to do when I graduate in 6 months, or a year rather. And I said, listen, I have this vision. I'm going to, be on a network television show, and he was like, well, Joy, why would they call you? Like, you never been in a courtroom. Like, why would anyone call you? I mean, like, you never really practiced. I mean, I think you got to practice if you want someone to call you. And I thought, oh my God, that means I have to practice law. Like, I did not think that I needed to go that route. I really thought my journalism degree was going to be my anchor. And so realizing that I needed to get as much experience in as little a time, I chose to move to New York. I lived in Oklahoma. I chose to move back to New York, which is where I was born, and work as an assistant DA in the Bronx criminal court system. So for those of you who know New York City and have been to New York City, this was in the Bronx, just steps away from Yankee Stadium. That sounds kind of glamorous, but it wasn't in the 90s. Drugs was an epidemic at the time. We had 450 lawyers, assistant district attorneys in just the South Bronx. And most of the crimes were drug related. And so here I was, this newly minted lawyer who didn't want to practice law, and found myself as a prosecutor. You could not have found a more opposite job for who I am as a person. And so for me, it was really tough for the end game to be putting someone in jail. because I always saw the better of anyone who was ever close enough to me for me to reach out and touch them. So for me, yeah, I saw a window one day at Dress for Success, and I didn't just run through it, I fell through it. I knew that I needed to find something that filled my cup. I knew that I needed to find something to make me feel like I was living a life of purpose. I knew that I needed to find a career and a purpose and a passion that could meld together and make my life meaningful so that my children could be proud of me, my husband could be proud of me, and more importantly, I could be proud of myself. And that's what Dress for Success has done for me. Yes, I pivoted pretty early on, but you don't necessarily go to college to take a straight road. Sometimes you take a dotted road. Sometimes you take some curves in life. But everything I learned, both in my journalism degree and my law degree, really set me up for success. And so that was my journey. And it's just been a blessing after a blessing after a blessing.
What I'm hearing in there in that story are some tales of resilience, I think.
Yes.
And I've spent some time listening to some other interviews that you have done recently. And one key takeaway for me is your message about women's empowerment and how important it is to build confidence and for women to uplift other women. And I've also heard you say that resilience is like a muscle that you have to flex and that you have to work at becoming resilient. Can you talk about the importance of resiliency and especially for our collegiate members?
Yeah, that was really important. And thank you, Jamie, for giving me the question ahead of time. Knowing that I was going to talk about resilience tonight, I actually spent some time today writing some notes down. So give me a moment, because I really do think that in 2020, with all of what we've gone through this year, especially because of COVID, especially because the racial tensity in America, especially because all of you young people, your lives have been disrupted. I think resilience is really the topic of tonight's conversation. Resilience to me means that you can bounce back in difficult times. No more difficult time probably in your life up until this point than COVID-19. That would be my thought. And so you can overcome anything in life as long as you have resilience. And where resilience comes from is that you've overcome challenges. That's the muscle. Like, if you don't have challenges in life, if you don't have rough patches, if you don't deal with difficult times, you don't exercise the muscle. And if you don't exercise the muscle, it turns to fat. So the only way you exercise a muscle and become stronger is to overcome, to see challenges, to face them head on. So what do you do? How do you manage? How do you cope? How do you stand taller? How do you become stronger? And how do you manage in the storm? I'd like to think COVID-19 is a storm. Some people say it's a perfect storm with all the other storms that are going on right now. So what I want you to do is build your network. That's about resilience. I want you to figure out how you can build, how you can find more people and more communities to be a part of. The good news is you have a sisterhood. Some people don't have a sister. You have a sisterhood. I raised as an only child. I didn't have a sister. It took me years upon years to find clubs and associations to find my sisterhood. And you have a built-in sisterhood. So build your network. Some would say, how do you build a network? Well, there's one way you can do it: giving back. Now, I would say that it may seem odd with everything that's going on, not enough time, having the social distance, can't be around your loved ones, can't even sometimes connect with your friends. How do you give back? Well, you can. Sometimes distraction becomes opportunity. Sometimes all you have to be is in the right place at the right time. You see, had I not figured out pretty early on in my career that it wasn't the career I necessarily wanted, maybe that morning when I was listening to the news, I wouldn't have been listening with my heart. And what I wanted to do was to donate. What I wanted to do was to be on a board. What I wanted to do was give back. And what giving back gave me was a 2 decades worth of a career leading a global nonprofit, meeting women from around the world and changing and making a difference in people's lives. So giving back is important. But I don't want you to give back and not remember who you are or take care of yourself. You know, it's all about the mask, not the blue mask, right? Not the mask we're wearing at the grocery store. It's the oxygen mask, right? So you can't give back and take care of anyone else unless you let the oxygen mask drop down and you put it on your face first. So I want you to take care of yourself right now. I want you to not give up, not give in. I want you not to let the challenges in life define you. You are bigger than them. You are better than them. This too shall pass. Believe me. I want you to accept change. I want you to find the silver lining in COVID-19 2020. There is a silver lining here. And sometimes the silver lining looks gray. And you know what gray is? It looks a little sad. It looks like it's about to rain, but it's silver. You just don't see the silver. You're seeing the gray. I need you to dig deep for the silver. It's there. We have pivoted our organization, created new programs, reached more women in different ways than we've ever done before. We're raising money in a very difficult climate to raise money, and we're being creative. That's my silver lining, right? Maybe we're an organization that wasn't supposed to be for a specific population, but maybe we're the nonprofit organization where all women who need jobs or need better jobs could come to us. Maybe that's the silver lining in this. And so I need you to find it. I want you to have a great attitude. I want people to see you. I want them to see your strength and your power and your resilience and your resource. And so that's resilience, right? That's getting through the storm. But you don't get through the storm with a pity party. You get through the storm with strength. And I think of no other group out there that's more resilient than women. So flex your resilience muscle is really what I want to tell you.
Thank you, Joy. I wrote some notes down there for myself. I hope everybody else did too. And particularly on this idea of pivoting. So when you and I talked last week, I shared with you that we've really been focusing on member engagement, and we've had to pivot a lot of our normal things to a virtual space, moving convention online, for example. And I have really taken advantage of the many ways that Dress for Success has pivoted this year. So I attended the Power Breakfast in Washington, D.C. I did your Power Walk. I attended a Women Who Inspire event with Rita Wilson. What are some of the other things that you've been doing to pivot, and how is that? How do you get out of that mindset of thinking about how we've always done a thing a certain way? How do you break out of that feeling that because we've done it X way, we always need to do it that way?
Absolutely. So I think, some of the pivoting we've done has been fairly easy. Doing virtual training, doing workshops through Zoom, doing coaching online, getting your career coach. The more difficult pivot for us has been our suiting operations, as you would imagine, right? Just like all retailers are struggling to figure out how to, in a contactless society, how do you give someone clothing and help someone find the perfect outfit. Dress for Success is a little bit more difficult because although our brick and mortar operations look like boutiques, they look like stores. What we do inside of Dress for Success is more than what a store does. It isn't just like the woman walks in and we say to her, oh, take your time, let us know if you need us. No, it's personalized dressing. Upscale boutique dressing, one-on-one with a woman. And without having women come into our offices, or at least limiting the women who get to come into our offices. And in some cases, Dress for Successes are not actually dressing women in our space, concerned about the virus. It's really created some distress on the suiting aspect of what we do. So I will tell you that I am forever grateful that fairly early on in the creation of Dress for Success, we realized we needed to be more than a suit. Because could you imagine what a disaster this would have been if all we would have been doing would be handing out clothing. And now 8 months later, we can't hand out clothing. So we've started to create what we now are calling confidence kits. And so we're doing virtual conversations with women about their interviews. A lot of women are doing interviews via Zoom. So we're realizing in some cases, we only have to dress her from the waist up. And so it's about the accessory, right? It's about the blouse. It's about, you mentioned when you saw me this morning, it's about the pop of lipstick. It's about what's in your backdrop, right? It's about your lighting. And those things we can do with her. And so once we figure out what she likes to wear and what colors she likes to wear, what she doesn't like to wear, which is even more important, then we put together our confidence kit for her and she picks it up. And so that's what we're doing now to avoid what potentially could be a dangerous situation if she got the virus. But realizing that you've got to be able to pivot. You've got to figure out how to bring our organization to her. And in the confidence kits, we're doing it. And so we're just learning. We're figuring this out as we go along. Nobody wrote the playbook for what to do in a nonprofit world when you are hit with a virus smacked right in your face. But as we're figuring out as we go along, how can we appeal to more people? How can we get more women in the doors? What do they need? How do we help her? And prepare ourselves because the world will reopen and we want to be there when the doors open for her.
So one of the top questions I got prior to the event tonight, and I'm sure you know where this is going, is, well, I have so many things that I want to donate to Dress for Success.
Right.
I've spent time, cleaning out my closet, right, during COVID. I have plenty of professional attire that's ready to go. What is your advice to our members who, want to make those donations? What are you telling folks?
I know it's tough because everybody spent endless hours cleaning out their closets and their basements and their cupboards. I mean, I just, cleaned out a bunch of rooms in my house and called up the Lupus Foundation and wanted them to pick up trash bags worth of stuff that I had put against the wall of my living room. And they call me back and said, we have no room on the truck. So everybody's cleaning out everything and wanting to donate. And it's difficult right now. We're still trying to figure out a Dress for Success, although I think we're feeling fairly confident that the virus doesn't travel on threads. And so I think by the beginning of the year, most, if not all, Dress for Successes will start to receive donations again. I think we put that on pause, not knowing how the virus travels, wanting to ensure the safety of not only our team members, but our volunteers who sort the donation. So be patient with us. And because we really need your clothes. And there's certainly places you can donate clothing to. And I would say that if you have more casual clothing, if you have more athletic clothing, if you have clothing that's not in mint condition, you can give it to all of those other charities. But the clothes that we need are the clothes that are going to go off your back and onto the back of another woman. Your suit is going to become her suit of armor. Your suit is going to become her power suit. So be patient. I would say by the beginning of 2021, we're going to find a way to open up the doors and allow your closets to become part of our closet.
I'm so glad to hear that. I know many of our members are as well. And that brings up a question. Can you help us get a better understanding of Dress for Success worldwide versus your affiliates and kind of what that relationship is? Because we do get a lot of questions about, how do I support Dress for Success, but there's not an affiliate, in my area. So could you explain that to us, how that works?
Sure. So Dress for Success, you got to think of us like a franchise model in the nonprofit space. So like a Dunkin' Donuts or any other kind of franchise, 7-Eleven, or, there's the parent company, and we're the parent company, Dress for Success Worldwide. We own the name. And the Dress for Successes in the 150 cities are licensees of Dress for Success. So by being a licensee, they pay a very small, very, very small nominal licensing fee a year. And by doing so, we therefore have a relationship with them. So they have to abide by our license, our rules and regulations of operating a Dress for Success. They can't charge women for clothing. They have to serve women. not maybe other populations. And so it's very specific, but then also we recognize that each Dress for Success is in a different market, and especially the ones outside of America in different countries. And so maybe what the expectation of a Dress for Success in the Netherlands or in Portugal or in Poland or throughout Africa, maybe how it shows up in that community could be and should be different, right? But the core essence of who we are as an organization, I like to say the DNA of Dress for Success will remain the same. The fact that we treat women with dignity and respect, the fact that we don't charge for our services, right? The fact that clothing is an aspect of what we do, but career development is too. And so each Dress for Success has the opportunity to, based on the culture and the community, to create a Dress for Success that makes sense for them. And so, yes, when you go to our website and you plug in where you are, sometimes you can't find a Dress for Success within kind of a 50-mile radius. So Dress for Success, you should know, we're not at worldwide headquarters going out into communities and starting up Dress for Successes. Dress for Successes are started up because it's women like you who live in cities in which there are not Dress for Successes who come to us and say, I love what you do. There's a need for Dress for Success in this community, yet there isn't one. And then they go on to start writing a business plan and creating this small business, albeit a nonprofit business, but they want to open up a Dress for Success. And that's how we get all these licensees. Quite frankly, it's how we've grown pretty fast in what is a relatively short period of time. One of the magazines that did a story on Dress for Success about a decade ago equivalated us to a Starbucks. They said we were the Starbucks of the nonprofit world, that we had all these brick and mortar locations, and that's pretty difficult to do. Yet we were growing at a pace that was incredible. So just to give this to you, every year we get about 1,800 emails from people who want to start up Dress for Success. 1,800. Now, the beauty, and so I will say this to you, this is a secret, right? So if you ever choose to start up a nonprofit or a for-profit, choose your name wisely, right? So I think sometimes people aren't really looking for Dress for Success. They're looking to figure out how to dress for success. And so when they go into a Google search and type in the word Dress for Success, guess what pops up? We do. And so then they get to our website and they go, what is this? And then they realized, oh my God, I can maybe bring this to my community. And so the name you choose for yourself in any business venture is critical. Let it be a little catchy, let it be short in nature, let it be memorable. And those are kind of some of the things that you need to know when you're creating a business. But that's how we've grown in a relatively short amount of time. And so when you get out of school and you're figuring out your passion and you're figuring out your purpose, I would expect that you and some of your sorority sisters are going to start a Dress for Success in your community. That's what I would expect.
I love it. I love that. And I think our members, this model, I think should resonate with our members because we do have the national level, the national organization, and then the chapter model on different campuses where they have kind of their own unique identity and personality, but they're still under that national brand. And it's something that our members take a lot of pride in that they are, members of the community on their college campus, but they also have this affiliation and affinity with a national organization with a national footprint. But then, to your earlier point, helps them expand their network. And that's something that, for our seniors who are graduating in December, and for those who are preparing to graduate in May or April, is something that we want to continue to have that conversation with them, that their experience as an undergraduate member may be 1, 2, 3, 4 years or more, but their full-time experience or the full life of their experience will largely be after they graduate. And that AST is here, where that network, where that community, we're going to be that safety net for them, regardless of where they are at that point in time. And so I think that's just another great kind of common thread that our two organizations have with each other.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is not surprising when a woman moves from one city to the next city, a Dress for Success client. I've had women who have reached out to a Dress for Success before they found an apartment. They're trying to find the community, right? And I would imagine that women who are members of this sorority do something very similar. They want to get to their community. They want to get to their sisterhood. They want an immediate group of friends and a network and people to lean on. And that's what Dress for Success does as well.
So I want to switch gears a little bit. Some of the member questions that came in were really about the pandemic and kind of twin pandemics impact on women. And you've used the term she session. Mm-hmm. And you clearly have a very unique view of women in the workplace. Can you talk about the disproportionate impact that COVID-19 has had on women? And what are the women who are walking through your virtual doors today? What do they need in their job search?
Yeah. So there's a real she session out there. If you didn't know it, recognize there is. The majority of the jobs that were lost at the beginning of COVID-19 were jobs held by women. More than 50% of those jobs were jobs held by women. And those jobs were jobs that were hospitality jobs, restaurant jobs, teaching jobs, home health care jobs, frontline jobs. Jobs that couldn't be done remotely, jobs that had to be furloughed. And those were the jobs most commonly held by women. And those were huge losses to us. You see, in 2008, when there was a recession, and I know I'm talking about like something that seems like 2008, I think I was 3. No, 2008 was like yesterday for me. 2008, we had a recession. It was almost thought of like as a man session, right? Because it deeply affected the financial district. It affected banks. And those were jobs mostly held at that time by men. That's very different today. But that's why it was thought of as a man session. It didn't impact women as greatly as this recession has hit us. So what do we do when we lose jobs at this wretched place? You got to remember, in December of 2019, women were leading in payroll jobs. Women had crossed over and gotten more payroll jobs than men in 2019. For the first time in over a decade, we had made gains. And today, some say we've fallen back. Some say because of this she session, because women who are married, having to make difficult decisions to stay home and raise their children, homeschool their kids in cities in which kids are not able to go back to school and are doing school remotely. Women are making tough decisions. I'm not worried about women. Why? Because we're resilient, right? We're going to get through this. People are going to understand when we come out of the she session that we had to make difficult decisions because we put our priorities in order. Quite frankly, I have children who are in their 20s, right? I have one college grad and I have one son who's in finishing up his degree and a business owner. But if they were young, I too would probably have to make some really difficult decisions. And I too might have to make the decision to stay home and raise my kids. I would hope that employers will be forgiving in the gap in women's resumes, that employers will allow women to come back into the workplace with a little bit more flexibility, realizing we really do work well from home. I'll be the first person to tell you, when I had some young people that I hired, the first thing they would ask me in an interview, do we get to work from home? Do you have flexible work schedules? And I was like, how could you run a nonprofit from home? But I can tell you, we've been running a nonprofit from home. So it's made me rethink how people work and how hard people work. So we're going to get through this. We're going to make gains again. I don't want you to be concerned about this. I think certainly it's going to be a challenging year for anyone who's going to be graduating, whether it's at the end of this year. I know we probably have some December grads. We definitely going to have some 2021 grads. There are definitely going to be some internships, not plentiful like they had been in the past. But this is when you flex your muscle, You build your network, you figure out your sisterhood, you get to understand that you have some powerful women in your sorority running some incredible businesses. And your sorority, and putting it at the top of the resume, not burying it in the content, it matters. And that sometimes through volunteerism, sometimes through internships unpaid, you get your foot in the door and people see you. I have hired more people over the years who've been volunteers because they came to Dress for Success not to get paid, but to learn and to give. And so when I had an opening, I gave it to them first because they gave to me. So we're going to get through the she session, believe me. And people are going to see our worth as women and understand that we always have to have a seat at the table.
I've also heard you talk about being your own advocate, how women need to be their own advocates. And you also mentioned earlier that you rely on mentors and perhaps you have a personal board of directors. Can you talk about both the importance of having mentors and maybe who your own mentor is, and then what it looks like to be your own advocate?
Yeah. So I have a lot of mentors, right? And I love to mentor. And I'm being very honest with you. Like, it's so simple to make yourself available to somebody, whether that's accepting someone on LinkedIn, allowing someone to ask you a question, do a 15-minute call or a 30-minute cup of coffee. That's what women are supposed to do, right? We're supposed to help each other. We're supposed to reach down and sometimes lean back and pull somebody along with us. We're not in this alone. We don't arrive there faster than someone else if we run the race by ourselves. You need other people to run the race for you and with you and alongside of you. And that's how you get to where you are. And so mentoring is key. And I would say to you, even when there are some younger students on campus, you can be a mentor to a younger sister in your sorority. You can be a mentor to a younger group of women in your community. Women are going to look to you. You innately, because you've chosen to go to college and you're part of a sorority, you're going to be showing up like a leader, right? And so I'm going to say to you, create your own board of advisors, have your own kitchen cabinet, have women that you can rely on. Always have people around you that are willing to fix your crown. Because as queens, we wear the crown. But sometimes you need somebody to fix your crown. Oh, there you go. Sometimes you need someone to fix your crown, right? You need someone to tell you when you're doing something wrong. Not always just being your yes girl or your yes squad. You need someone to call you on things when you're not doing something right or when you said something that was just not feeling good. And where you're coming to things with unconscious bias and someone checking you on that. That's what you need around you. Having people that always tell you the brilliance of who you are and the beauty of who you are, that is not going to help you in life. You need people who are true to you and who you can be true to. So that's what mentoring is about. That's what being kind to another woman. That's what making sure that when you get a door open for you, you put a wedge in that door so somebody can walk behind you. You don't shut the door because there's not enough room at the top or there can only be one of you. Absolutely not. That's not what women do. And you find a way to be surrounded by strong women because it's the strong women that will help other women succeed.
And in that environment too, I think sometimes women will tend to sit back and kind of wait to be recognized or maybe wait to be tapped on the shoulder. How do we get out of that mindset? How can we claim that rightful seat at the table? How do we get to the door and open it for others? How do we be an advocate for ourselves and not just wait around for someone to notice our good works?
Absolutely. So here's a big old secret about me. I'm an introvert. Now, people, they don't even get it because I can turn it on, like I can turn the watt up very high and walk in a room and be on like popcorn, like, oh yeah, she's here. But it takes a lot for me to do that. Like my comfort zone is to be by myself. Maybe that's because I'm an only child. Maybe that's just because I'm an introvert. But you've got to figure out how to bring your best to everything. And for those of you who are like me, who are like true introverts, but show up as an extrovert, you got to figure out how you can pull that introvert out so that people can see you, that people notice you. And so I do tricks. Here's my introvert trick. So I know that I don't like to do a lot of small talk, right? So what really is a challenge for me is the cocktail hour, right? Not because I don't like to drink, which I really don't like to drink, but I did enough of that in college. Don't drink a lot. But I don't like the small talk. It's a little bit uncomfortable for me. So what I do is I time myself. If the event cocktail hour is from 6 to 7 and the event starts at 7, I show up at 6:40. I know I can give my best self for 20 minutes. Like I'm going to blow you out the door for 20 minutes. I'm going to walk around the room. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to show up. I'm going to ask you about yourself. I'm going to find 3 friends. I'm going to make it work for 20 minutes. If I had to do it for a full hour, I would literally fall over. So I'm my best self for 20 minutes because that's what I'm going to do. I also do this other thing where if I go to an event and there's a table, right? And I'm supposed to sit at table 11 and I walk to table 11 and let's say of a table of 10, 6 people are sitting there. I don't sit near anyone. I kind of sit by myself on the opposite side of the table. You think, well, how rude is that? No, I always feel like I go places and purposely someone is supposed to sit down next to me. And that's the person I'm supposed to meet for the night. So I leave both sides of me open, and that's kind of me leaving myself open to make a connection with whoever sits next to me. And so again, I'm on because I know I'm there for a purpose. And 9 out of 10 times, I meet the most remarkable people. I say hi to the people across the table. I introduce myself. I walk over, but I sit waiting for who's supposed to sit next to me. I think everything in life, there are no mistakes, there are no accidents. Everything in life is intentional. And so I just, I've lived through being an introvert, and it's made me, when I'm the extrovert, the best extrovert in the room.
I hope our members have taken your 2 tricks and have written them down, especially our collegiate members, but also our women who are out there networking right now and are trying to figure out their next path or in their career track.
Here's another trick, Jamie,
Yeah.
in networking. So when you meet someone, it's not about you. Okay, so don't get there rambling on about you, where you go to school, what you're doing, what you want to figure out how to make it about them. So when you ask them, like, so what do you do? And they tell you, say, how can I support you? How can I help you? Like, when you don't make it about you and you make it genuinely about them and you make yourself available to them, they want to get to know you. When you make it about you, a person is drowning in that. Trust me. They're thinking like, God, she never even asked me a question about myself. Like I would have loved to have shared. So be sure to like be available to them. They will always remember you. So make sure before you leave that conversation, say, however I can help you do that, please stay in touch with me. I'd love to figure out how I can support you. I mean, you want to be remembered? You will be the one person they remember for the entire night because they will remember you for your kindness. They will remember you for your giving. They will remember you because you made yourself memorable. And those are the kind of things you've got to figure out how to do. It can't be about you. It's got to be about them.
I feel like we need to bring you in to help us coach our members on recruitment.
Okay.
Because you're explaining, you're reinforcing and validating our philosophy about membership recruitment.
Wonderful.
That the way that we're going to bring new members into our organization is values based, right? We're looking for women who have a passion for our mission and for serving others. and that they need to bring their authentic selves with them and form connections, which is one of our values.
Right.
And so what you've just described, is something that for our members to learn as they are trying to explain why join AST, why we want you to join AST, and do it in a very authentic way. Um, we could have you write the manual on that.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah. I could only have been so lucky to have joined an organization like yours when I was in college. So see this as a win, like take your wins and run with them.
Yes. So on that note, I want to think about, how, as we're trying to better prepare our college students to enter the workforce, especially many of our students, today on colleges campuses, our first generation students, we're thinking about, how do we equip them to be successful for their first internship or their first job right out of college? I mentioned to you, we have 83 chapters across the country. And I think we've got some really great opportunity here, some natural ties between Dress for Success and Alpha Sigma Tau. And I'd like to hear, your vision for how Dress for Success and AST might be able to work together to expand that footprint and that reach on college campuses.
Yeah, so it was like what, a week ago, Jamie, you and I were talking, just kind of familiarizing ourselves with both of our organizations. And I told you, literally you were telling me about your vision, and what you would like to see for the collegiate campus sorority sisters. And I just had an aha moment. And I was like, wow, if through your organization, we could potentially create some campus closets, powered by Dress for Success, run by your membership, we can make our organization available on college campuses. Like that could really be a moment for both of us, right? You could do your community service and civic duty. You could help your fellow students. You could provide them with the resources they need, the tools they need, the interviews that they need, and you could give them access to a Dress for Success. So what I'm most excited about is that I think we're going to try to launch this. Like, I think we're going to try to start small, figure out what cities, what communities we could begin this in, and then try to figure out how we roll this out on all campuses where you have sorority sisters and where there's a need for populations of women to get in the workplace that don't have the clothes they need, don't have the coaching that they need. First generation students, it can be a little difficult. If you don't have a community around you of people who also graduated from college, who have the financial resources to help you prepare for job interviews, it's an uphill climb. We should not make it difficult for her. These may not necessarily be your sorority sisters, but they're your sisters. And so you got to care about her. If you don't care about her, you care about no one. So I want our sorority partner to help us get on these campuses and help us provide Dress for Success for the students who need them. So that's what I'm excited about, Jamie. I'm excited that you and I and Jim, that we're going to come together. We're going to think this through. We're going to be bold. We're going to make some bold decisions, and your sorority is going to be known on your campuses for bringing Dress for Success to the campus. And that's what I'm most excited about.
Well, we are ready. We are thrilled. I just got a comment in the Q&A from our executive director of the River Cities Dress for Success affiliate, Jessica Hudson. She says she's ready. She's on board. She's happy to help however she can.
Awesome.
So we are thrilled about this idea. I do think there is a lot of opportunity, and I think our members are hungry for that hands-on experience in their community where they can see the impact, directly see the impact, and whether that's with their fellow student or whether that's a woman in their community or women.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Perfect.
And if we could have like the offshoot of Dress for Success, having a satellite office on a main campus, on a main thoroughway, where we bring our clothes there and outfit a particular location on campus so that when a person has an interview, maybe they do the Zoom training with us, but they go into the closet into the campus closet to get the items they need for the interview. So we're going to think it through, and we're going to start small and go big, because that's the only way you got to go. You got to go big or go home. So we're going to go big, but we're going to start small. We're going to work out the kinks, and then we're going to launch this. And this will likely be the reason. Like, everything has a reason, and I think this is the piece that we need your on-campus sorority sisters to get involved in. And I think that's very exciting.
I love it. And I know this is not the only bold thing that you are working on right now. You have many, many, many things. And when we met last week, you mentioned a very major initiative that Dress for Success is planning for Women's History Month. Can you share a little insider information with us about that?
Yeah, I'm going to share, because guess who we're going to be honoring as part of our 31 Women of Power? We're honoring your national president, Jamie. She will be standing alongside some very powerful women, because she's a powerful woman in and of her own right. So the month of March, 31 days, there will be 31 women of power who we are going to elevate and bring attention and some noise to around the world. And so we are partnered up with the Oprah magazine. We'll be writing a really keen article on the 31 women who selected. Remember, Jamie's one of them. And she's there with the CEO of Ulta Beauty, the CEO of Core Power Yoga, the CEO of Blue Apron, the CEO of Adecco Staffing Company. We are lining up women CEOs in big companies, small companies, and associations, because what I want women to see is that we have finally, we didn't put a crack in a glass ceiling, we have broken through. Like, women are on the rise. And I need everybody to understand that Women's History Month is not just about women of our past. They're really about women who are making history today. Jamie's making history today. So here's the call to action in Women's History Month. It's called Your Hour, Her Power. And guess what that means? That means that I want all women, especially the women in the sororities, to give 1 hour of their pay. Whether that hour is $9, $15, $20, whatever that dollar equates to, I want you in Women's History Month to give your hour so that some other woman can get her power back. And you're going to give it in the name of Jamie, in the name of your sorority, in the name of all of your members, both those on the campus and those who are alums. And you're going to celebrate women, and you're going to help women. And that's what we're going to do this year, coming up, 2021. March, Women's History Month. Jamie and 30 other women will be celebrated because of who they are and what they do and what they mean to the universe. And that's the power of women. And so you're going to join us in this campaign. It's going to be big. And I'm just grateful that our sorority partner is part of it with us. And thanks for allowing me to honor you, Jamie.
Well, thank you for asking. And you are honoring me, but you're certainly honoring our partnership with Alpha Sigma Tau. And there have been so many women who have helped get to this point in time over the past 121 years. You know, we just celebrated our Founders Day last week, and honored the courage and the bravery of our founders. We honored their resilience. We honored the way that they held a torch for others so they could find their own way. And so for us to be able to participate in this event and to support Dress for Success and honor women, it's a gift. It's a gift for us and for AST, and we appreciate it. And certainly, we are our partners, but we are sisters. And so I thank you for that, Joi. And I want to bring this to a close tonight by asking for your kind of call to action. What are some of the things that every Alpha Sigma Tau today can do to support Dress for Success and women who are in need across our country?
Absolutely. So if there is a Dress for Success in your community, I want you to figure out a way to get involved, to volunteer. If there's not a Dress for Success in your community, we're all working virtually. You don't have to have one in your community anymore. Much of what we're doing is through virtual experiences. So you could literally be sitting in your dorm room, in your sorority house, in your living room, and still supporting and helping another woman succeed. I want women to know that you see them. And I want women to know that you care about them. So join us in the fight. Let 2021 be the best year ever. 2020 came with some cuts and bruises, but we're going to get through this. Trust me, we always have, we always will. But we're stronger together. And that's what this partnership means to me. We're stronger together. I am grateful to have you as part of the Dress for Success family. I wish you nothing but success. And my hope is that somewhere down the road, I can see you in person and give you what I like to call a joy hug for all that you're doing for Dress for Success. I'm
I
looking
love it.
forward to it.
I will take you up on that offer,
Oh,
Joy.
you
We
got one,
appreciate
Jamie.
it.
Definitely.
Thank you for spending time with us tonight and for making sure that our members have your same spirit and passion. And it's hard to communicate that, convey that in a virtual way, but I think you crushed it tonight. And I
Yeah.
know I felt it, and I hope that our
Well, it's
members
like,
did too.
yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So
You know,
thank you
this,
all. And to our sisters, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We really enjoyed having you here. Thank you. And happy Founders Day a week late to everybody. Thank you all for joining tonight.
thank you guys. Bye-bye.